What is up, people? Same podcast, new location for House Lasku. We're back, the sixth man, House Lasku, chatting some hoops, some second round hoops for the first time this playoffs, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Now, yeah.
So the thing that Ed and I have got in common is that we both have actually only one team left. The rest of the guys actually have two, which is crazy because I think I was the first person eliminated from sixth man last year. I think I was the first person that had all my teams gone, and that was at the end of the second round. But yeah, that's besides the point. We're here to.
Here's the thing. Also, it's not unfathomable for it to be our two teams to be in the finals either. It seems like it could be a pretty.
Yeah,
decent.
well, we'll get onto that. So the first game that we're going to speak about is Ed's remaining team, the Boston Celtics, against the Bucks, who Bray has. So Bray's Bucks. Bucks won the first series. It was a very convincing win. Drew Holiday turned up in a big way. Giannis had a self-alley-oop. They took care of business, and then there was a lot of pressure on Boston last night to win game two. A lot of people were saying that. I think Magic Johnson actually tweeted and said, if the Celtics don't win this game, they're going to get swept. That was not the case. And the Celtics beat the Bucks 106-89 in just a romp, a game two romp. How do you feel about the series, Ed? Like, how do you feel about game two? What were your takeaways?
This is like my old Bay versus my new Bay. Of course, I won six man last year with Bucks being my pick. And again, if I win again with a late pick, love to see it. So first game was really fun to watch in terms of just the competitiveness and both teams just really going at it, and Boston really being smacked to the mouth by Milwaukee just really going at them. And just you got to love just Giannis' development, like the way he's driving and kicking to open 3-point shooters and how they're knocking them down. It's just what the modern day NBA has become, and they've become an epitome of that. Switching defense, and they're playing with multiple bigs now who can defend across positions. Really interesting. And Alex, remember who the person I mentioned who needs to step up for the Bucks? Man like Bobby Portis, getting more shots up and getting more opportunities. I'm a Bobby Portis truther, and I'm a Boogie Cousins truther. Those are my two guys who you can't chat shit to me about. I will die on that island. So from a Bucks perspective, Giannis hasn't been like amazing if you just purely look at the box score, but when you watch the games, you're like, he is having such an impact on both the offensive end and defensive end. And I think it's really hard for Boston to it looks really hard for Boston to find a way around Giannis on a as much as they tried to limit him and he missed some gimmies around the rim, he was still able to generate points for his team by getting those kick out threes because he draws so much attention. And fair play to the Bucks role players for knocking him down. Grayson Allen turning into a sharpshooter, looking like Duncan Robertson reincarnated. But yeah, from a Celtics perspective then, first game, Marcus Smart was in and he was getting cooked by Drew Holiday quite a bit, something we spoke about offline, which was a really fun matchup to watch. And then he's injured the second game, but Boston still have a really solid defense. And from the offensive end, they were just jacking up so many threes. Russell Williams like, surely they could drive to the rim a bit more. I know they've got some big men that are lurking down there, but surely they could do a better job of driving to the rim. And they did take less 3-pointers second game, but did make a lot more. So that did help them, and the reason why it was a blowout. But it's
do you think that's sustainable though? Because if you look at obviously that's what the defense was giving them. Like they were packing up in the paint, so the Boston were like, okay, if you're going to dare us to shoot, that's the shot you want us to take. And the Celtics made 23s, the Bucks made 3. The Bucks aren't going to shoot 17% again from three. Yeah. So my question to you would be, what can we expect later down the line from this?
So one thing that I want to relate this to is, remember last year in the finals when it was obviously Suns Bucks, neither one of those two teams shot really well from three throughout any of the games. There was a lot of mid-ranges and a lot of driving to the rim. So yes, I don't expect the Bucks to have as poor as a shooting performance as they did, but also I think it'll be more about how they attack the rim and how they can generate those points as well. Phoenix has just had become such this outlier where they're getting so much. They got the best offense by just shooting, well, by predominantly shooting long twos because that's what teams are giving them. So, of course, 3-pointers are going to be a massive thing, but I'm more intrigued to see how they're going to do from two.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, I think for Giannis, again, it's so impressive because the Celtics defense, they did a really good job on KD, and I think they're doing a good job on Giannis as well. He missed some gimmies, but in the first half and in game 2, he went 2 for 12, and a lot of the shots that he was unbalanced when he was going up, and he was attempting his shots, whether it was inside, whether it was outside, and anything to stir him off his game. Like, he's so used to getting ahead of steam and really getting calls or finishing however he wants to. One of his main defenders, and somebody I want to ask you about, is Grant Williams. Have to give him props, man. I don't even know where he's come from. Like, I know that obviously they've had a second half resurgence, but he's really become such a key contributor to this Celtics team. And the fact that he's not only adding defense, which we know him for, but his outside shooting, he's just been on fire this playoffs.
Not sure if you thought the same thing, but when I was watching Celtics start of the year, I saw Grant Williams. I thought, I swear that's Avery Bradley. I didn't know Avery Bradley was in the Celtics. That he looked exactly like Avery Bradley when I was watching him play. And I was like, oh, that's Grant Williams.
Avery Bradley is not built like Grant Williams. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because he changed. I thought, okay, like maybe when he went away from Lakers for that year or not, he just like bulked up a little bit or whatever. I was like, but in my mind, he just looked exactly like Avery Bradley for some reason. Maybe I haven't put their images together, but that's just the first person popped to my head. But yeah, that's one person I was going to mention. He did a really decent enough job on Giannis to make it a bit difficult for him. And I think it's really Boston have got a couple of players that they can throw at him that can just have a little bit of fight. Obviously, Tatum can do a job, Brown can do a job. They love switching around who gets the defending. Even Robert Williams can do a job as well, which is why it was really big for them to get him back. But it's quite positive, I feel, from a Boston perspective. Alex, you weren't too high on them last series, and I think you had the Bucks winning this series as well. What are you thinking now? Has this changed anything? Has the past 2 games changed any of your thoughts?
No, man. If you're the champs, like, you're the champs until you're the champs no more. The fact that they don't have their second best player and they are still in control of this series, especially as they're being the lower seed. So, I don't know. I suspect it's going to be competitive and whatnot, but I will say this: Jaylen Brown is probably top 3 player like to watch for me. He's just so entertaining. I love watching him.
That's the thing with Jaylen Brown. He has these games which absolutely explodes. One of the games I'm watching was when this run started for Boston was after New Year's. I think it was on the 2nd or whatever day it was after New Year's. I think maybe 2nd or 3rd because that's when they played Orlando. And I downloaded the game on my because I was coming back from Scotland. I downloaded the game on my phone. I was watching it. And I was like, and that's when Jaylen Brown got 50 points. I'm like, oh, is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum? That's what, obviously after one game you start making those exaggerations, but he has those moments where he just is an absolute baller and completely plays people off the court. But it's the consistency, and obviously it doesn't help when he does have a volume scorer next to him, but it does help then because he can pick up the slack when he needs to. You see those things, that thing where he was like in the stadium, or in the stadium, in the arena 2 hours before the game, just taking out threes because he knew what to expect.
Yeah, well, I like that. He also crushed your boy Grayson Allen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was nice. That was an Iverson crossover.
Here's what I'm not having. Legs. This is probably the first time you lot have brought up Grayson Allen when we've been talking about playoffs and it's for the crossover. No one's been speaking about all this good stuff. I'm just gonna.
He's a dirty player, man. He's a really dirty player.
Well, yeah, tonight you don't wish you had him on the Sixers.
Maybe Doc wouldn't
okay.
make it work. So I don't know about that. But yeah, look, he's playing well. All right, kudos to him. Last question: series prediction for this.
Fuck it. You know what? I was gonna say in 7, but just to back my boys a bit more. Sorry, it's in 6. Let's say they're gonna win the next 4 out of 5 games. 2 of them being away from. That's really bold. Fuck it, yeah. Celtics.
Right number, wrong team. Bucks
Also,
and 6.
my final question: is this the real Eastern Conference Finals?
That's really disrespectful, but probably yes.
Yeah, I'm
They're
saying
the two best teams. I think.
Okay.
I think they are. Yes, I would say.